Content driven, I guess that is another new word in their vocabulary. Having set out a new focus on stability of the game, and at the same time, game needing to be content rich. We have missions, dynamic events, and places to explore. We have the world, but now they want to provide more content, not just the same simple missions, but rather progressing it onwards, expand upon the stories and events, building upon these missions available right now, to progress and steadily add content every month or every few months so the story develops. There will always be content or remain content which is set to be available for a limited amount of time. But more importantly, the focus set on missions to have proper flow. Much of it is possibly based on already existing content, but I think it is more important to put a face behind it, or at least a voice. What they have in mind is a clear map of activities and its progression. In a way, I guess we could see parts of it during CitizenCon, how they want to expand and spread the content. I suspect there is more to it than just simple missions, and not just some of those extremely long stories completed over a period of a year. Perhaps rather short story to be told over few missions. With all the content in mind, we want a stable game with no game-breaking bugs. If this can be met, then the stories, they could improve player engagement. It was explained, the idea is to create similar structure to the TV shows, having the primary story and a side story. This can be spread across longer missions or activity chains, thus making content feel alive through options and progression. It could make the game feel bigger and more active. For example, the main story starts, has its events, and progresses. After a while, a side story emerges, becomes available for us to partake. And there may be periods where one or other part of this stories is progressing. Perhaps both at the same time, perhaps only one. In a way, this will keep one simple part of mission chains or story from covering too much or growing too big, perhaps not rushing too much ahead of the other one. We already have had progressive missions, but we don't have them with the several stories, at least not until now. Mostly they are quite straightforward and everyone can partake. There are few which have been a bit more special or unique, but not in a way they describe the future plans. Save Stanton is one of these mission events or change, where it started out with the gang invasion, it required our participation in defense, and ultimately ending in assaulting the capital ship Idris. What we have happening now is picking a side, the fight for Pyro. Either assault or defense, we can either help and defend with the citizens, and people of the game can assault or harass aggressively other factions of the Pyro. In some cases, I think it can reach even near psychopathic levels against everybody. In general, creating a factional warfare as the story progresses focuses on the factions and the change. One faction might want information, while another destruction of it, creating a clear scenario for everyone. What needs to be done? Should I get something? Should I destroy something? Or something else? And with every step, the story progresses. Ultimately, this will play out with real ramifications with players' collective choices, thus creating a final outcome. In the end, it is supposed to add to the world and events taking place near the finish, giving our collective choice on an impact in the game. So this event, Fight for Pyro, this in and of itself will progress over this year, with every month or every few months new parts of it becoming available. There was some emphasis on how things play out and what you can get from specific scenarios, but nothing was clearly stated. So there is a chance to get something unique when playing them. I do think the Fight for Pyro initiative is a good way to create and actively progress in an event in a story which could be used in the creation of new missions, chains and activities. The focus towards story-related content is good, and this can eventually be a stepping stone for the content in the game. Yet all of this still heavily relies on the game's stability. Because if you cannot play the game, if you cannot enjoy the game, then this doesn't really matter. As the game can have massive amount of content, but if you can't get past the elevator to get to your ship, then what's the point of having this content before the game is in a playable or in a good state? For now we have a mix of good and bad things happening. Some can play the game, others can't, issues being present which weren't there before. or even old issues persisting. So if all goes well and it actually becomes relatively good and stable as they want to make it, then perhaps there is hope for these missions, these change and their progression even in the future. But for now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.